Good morning, I'm John Naylor on the eCentral Business Show. This morning it's my wonderful pleasure to have Tony Curl from Think and Grow Business.
Thanks, John. It's awesome to be here. Yeah.
Okay, we're getting right into this eCentral Business Show, and it's a real pleasure to have you on today. Now, what are we going to talk about today?
I reckon we talk about leadership in the big world of small business.
Yeah, okay, cool. And we'll probably get on to a little bit better. Let's talk, and later on let's talk about how to become a leader, yeah? But first of all, what is leadership?
Oh, there's so many definitions out there, and I think in many ways, John, that the industry hasn't served itself well because there are so many different definitions. John Maxwell talks about its influence, nothing more, nothing less. But
that's an overly simplistic view, is it not? Or?
It is a simplistic view, but it works, and it works for me, and it works for people in business, because when you want to influence, whether it's a sales process or whether it's a team member, that's leadership. And when you can bring it down and influence ourselves, of course, because that's that self-leadership aspect. So yeah. I like that definition. But leadership by itself encompasses so many things. It's about casting vision, it's about daily disciplines, it's about priorities, it's about communication. Yeah, it can be quite daunting for many people wanting to develop their leadership skills.
Yeah, okay. So on the basis of that, so around the what is leadership thing, so you're saying it's a whole rich arrangement of things underneath that basic statement?
Yeah, I always talk about what works for you. So I have my own concept called the anatomy of a leader. I talk about a strong core, which is about the character. I talk about the heart, which is about service and supporting your team. And then I talk about the transformative mind, which is the discipline, the results, the performance. So and to me that works. It aligns three parts, major parts of your body. Leadership is built on your character and your core, how you deliver for your team. Leadership's not about you, it's about who you are leading. And then ultimately you need to have a fairly tough mind and a disciplined mind to be able to perform and get the results that you need to have. Because that's the other thing, leadership is almost seen like this soft skill, but ultimately the most successful businesses have great leadership.
Yeah, okay. And around that, where do you see sort of vision in amongst that? I mean, because is that, or where does it start? You know, is even a better question. I mean, if you, because we talked about it off camera, some people said, "Oh, I just want to see where this leads." I mean, isn't that a fundamental flaw in the leadership process?
A lot of people will, don't have a vision for themselves, don't have a vision for their business, and it's almost like let's take one step at a time, and it's challenging for those people then to be. Go through a process where they at least develop where do they want to be in 12 months' time. So where it starts with you ultimately and where you're at. So a lot of people have visions and a lot of people have ideas. So for them to be going through a visionary process is quite simple, but for them to put those ideas into action requires discipline and priorities. So maybe they start in that world. But vision's important. You need to know where you're going or what you want to achieve, and I always talk about anchoring on that because that's the emotion that pulls you towards where you're going.
That seems fairly universal, yeah. And the longevity or the long-term sort of process that it is, I mean, it's not, I mean, I've got, and you know who you are, there's those friends out there that they go away on their long weekends on Tony Robbins or some other rah-rah, and that shakes off eventually. That doesn't last, that feeling, does it? Because leadership is something you're going to build and build and build.
Yeah,
it's a long term.
It develops daily. It's not an event. It's not a one-day workshop. It's, I go to John Maxwell events in Orlando. I know I'm going to get inspired. I know I'm going to get motivated. But if I don't do anything with that every single day, it's pointless going. So leadership develops daily. And we were talking about books. And that's part of the process, reading books. So that stat that I shared, that 30% of Americans don't read a book after high school. Yeah. That's pretty frightening.
Do you think that resonates here, though? Is that relevant to our audience, Tony? Or?
A lot of US stats are relevant over here when we talk about engagement and things like that. So it's potentially the case, but that's scary. So I always talk about leadership developing daily. You need to have your daily agenda. You need to be looking at getting better. You need to be progressing in what it is that you're aiming to do. So whether it's a personal goal that you've set or whether it's a business goal, you need to be getting closer to it every day.
Okay, so in terms of where we're coming to is that the leadership, then the how-to of leadership is obviously a daily Weekly, monthly?
Yep. It's,
yearly?
We can start with the vision. So if you know where you want to go, that then enables you to set yourself your yearly goals. Right?
Yeah, sure.
And then from your goals, I always look at, well, what are the important things that you need to be doing to hit those goals? And keeping people aligned. And they become your daily priorities. So you can take your vision and bring it right back into what you do every day. So by developing your own skills and ability and leadership. So
yeah, okay. Well, that certainly resonates with my story as I've rebirthed eCentral and focused my effort more around a distant goal I've got personally and the way I want to influence the world. And it's going along, I can see the incremental changes in the business and the way I approach things, but where's the sobering reality check in terms of this sort of, Tony? What are the little takeaways you should say, yeah, I've achieved? What should you do to keep yourself motivated in this process?
You always need to be looking back and looking forward. So of course you need to review where you've come. So, and it's like any business, if you're in the same position now than what you were 12 months ago, you haven't progressed. So, but if you can sit there and say, well, I've got X amount more clients, I've turned over more amount of dollars, I've created a stronger network, there's more people referring, that's incremental progress within your business, and that comes about through your application of your skills and abilities. So you need to be able to review where you've come from, but you also need to keep focused on where you're going. A lot of people dream where they're going, and for them that's good enough. I've got a dream, I'll get there one day. But unless you've actually then applied it into those daily steps or the weekly goals or the monthly goals, you're not going to get there. Wishing and hoping, as we know, isn't a strategy. So you need to be able to take the vision and plot it into your daily agenda. So
yeah, okay. Well, one thing that I've certainly noticed as the process has gone on with me is pursue leadership and pursue greater business and develop the business is even speaking with authority is something that seems that there's a growing confidence, there's a growing authority around the way you speak in positive terms around the development of your business. That's probably important to you.
It's
or was that a positive side effect of this process without the pills and potions?
It is a positive side effect, and as we know with most things, there's no golden pill, there's no silver pill, but when you build confidence in your own ability and you're becoming more aware of what you're capable of and what you deliver, I think that just breeds a confidence. Interestingly enough, I see so many people who can sell my product, for example, better than what I can, potentially, or that they can sell their company's product in such a way. So sometimes we get so much, like, I've got no doubt that I could sit here and wax lyrical about what you do. But then so many people struggle with waxing lyrical about what they do themselves. So it's easier to sell someone else than what it is to sell themselves. But that certainly comes with confidence, self-awareness, and all those other aspects. So as you build confidence and as you add value to people, I think that rubs off in the way that you talk about yourself. So.
Yeah. So what's the reality check around this then? I mean, how do you make sure? How do you say is leadership for me? Have you got a formula for that? Is it something with everybody's grasp? Is probably even a better question.
So I look at business leadership, and I get asked that question a lot, John. Why should I worry about leadership development? And ultimately, what Think and Grow Business is about is improving the performance of people in business. Really simple. It's a really clear message. But even in like aspects of networking, for example, so everyone's got a network, whether it's online or whether it's physical face-to-face. Networking requires the ability to be able to communicate with clarity and confidence.
Yeah, okay.
The ability,
tick that box,
the ability to connect with people. They're both skills that can be developed. You look at the sales process. Sales process needs influence, but it also needs trust. Skills that can be developed. So even in just those two examples, there's leadership skills that I can help you with, that I can develop people in to gain those that advantage in those particular aspects.
Okay. All right, cool. So let's give some people some bullet points, some takeaways. So that fundamental question is, how do I become a great leader, or how do I become a leader? Let's sum that up in a way that we can even conclude this little video on the basis of.
So how to become a great leader? I think it's all about what you do every day determines the success of where you're going. So you need to understand what you're good at and what you're not so good. You need to have that self-awareness. You need to read books. I mean, that's a very simple fundamental. But you also need, pardon me, you need people around you that are going to help you get to where you want to go.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, people that will stretch you and challenge you. You know, there's a saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So it's always about understanding who it is that you want to become and find those people and start joining their circles as opposed to staying within the circle. So there's a lot of things that you can do, but it's a daily role to make sure that we're progressing as people within our business, within ourselves.
Yes,
so
yes.
if we understand what we're good at, that's fantastic, strengthen that. If we understand what we're not so good at, get competent in it, but also look for people around you that can help you in those areas, because that's also critical. A leader can't be, Maxwell's got a book called The 26 Laws of Leadership. You can't be good at all 26, that's the reality.
Yeah, right.
But you can be good at 5.
Okay.
And then you surround yourself with people that are good at the others. So.
Yeah, no, I certainly find that as one thing that's key to me, and even as I network and meet people and interface with business, is it's really powerful to say, look, are these the sort of 5 people that I want around me? You know, because it's well attested that the way that we see like your level of wealth is usually the average of the 5 people around closest to you. I see the same thing happens about your leadership skills, or the way you perceive yourself, the way that you socialise, the way that you articulate and interface with the world. It's all going to be an average of the sort of people you hang around. Now, obviously, if you're a complete hermit, that's a flip side we don't want to even talk about today.
But if you want to be a hermit, that's cool. You just make that call and be a hermit. Many times I probably thought, wouldn't it just be nice to live in a cave on the beach on the Whitsundays? But but if that's your choice, that's great. But for most people, we want to be getting better at what we do, and if we do that and think about that intentionally daily, I think that you've going to stand a good shot at getting there.
Yeah, okay, tremendous, Tony. Thank you very much. I don't think I'm going to go get a job in a lighthouse anytime soon. No, yourself neither. No, absolutely not. I love people. I love being around people. So, and I think anyone in business, if you are the type that's going to be in a lighthouse, I think you're going to struggle. I love people. I love being around them, and I love seeing them grow. I love seeing the lights going in their eyes. And you know, so many people look for the why in business. I like seeing people get better at what they do, and that gives me enormous satisfaction. Oh, great, Tony. Okay, now how do people connect with you, Tony? ThinkingGreatBusiness.com.au is probably the easiest way. Pop on over, or to make it even simple, I've got another website, CoachCurl.com. So. Coach Curl, and that's with a C, isn't it? Absolutely. CoachCurl. So, and you're published as well, I think, did you say? I've got a book called Seriously Simple Stuff to Get You Unstuck. So, life shouldn't be, I mean, life's not easy, but it should be simple. And once again, it all relates back to what it is that you want. If you know what you want and you know what you're chasing, it's really easy, becomes simpler, I should say, to prioritise what you do to get there. It's when you don't know what you want that life leads you. Yeah. You want to be able to lead life. Yeah, tremendous. Okay, well that ends the formal part of the show. I'm John Naylor from the eCentral Business Show. If you do want to watch on a little bit longer, though, I'm going to needle Tony with some awkward questions now. Now, how about this pitching thing? Now, we saw recently Kevin Harrington in the country in your same space and that sort of thing. What are some of the things that people do to get ahead in that game? Is it about developing an app? You know, I've got this great app idea. It's going to change the world, the way that we, travel. It's this taxi thing. Oh no, that's been done. It was that taxi thing that's been done. I mean, there's a lot of focus on innovation in the digital space, and there's a lot of focus on apps. And I guess one of the key takeaways that I took while Kevin was here was he's got a concept called the toothbrush test, so if there's a need for you to use that app every day that's going to add value to people, you've got the potential for an app idea. Yeah. But I think if you looked at your phone now, and I know I showed you mine earlier, there's 30, 40 apps. Yeah, I didn't know some people still use Nokia 6110s. But
we're constantly downloading apps, but whether we're using them every day, whether we're paying the subscription, so it's easy for someone to say, look, it's just $9.95 a month. Well, $9.95 a month for something you don't use is obviously not a valuable
that's
investment.
true. There's one thing I strike in terms of digital marketing is I quite often have people come to me and talk about, I've got this great app idea, and then I'll do a Google search around that, and you find that there's already a bunch of websites doing that, and actually quite large businesses already doing that through a website. So naturally, they're already progressing to the web space. They've got working technology around that. All they've got to do is transition it. And there's poor people that think they've got this wonderful thing that's not on the App Store. Yeah. The reality check is there's already people have been doing that for 20 years with software and web.
And sometimes a very simple Google search shows that, highlights that there's people in the space.
I depress people all the time. It's actually one of the sadder points of my day when I have those conversations with people. But what is the thing? Is it come back to like products and actual, being the next,
I think
cheese grater or something like that? Garlic press or...
I love ideas. Yeah. And I love people having ideas. Yeah. And you see people emotionally invest in ideas, just as we've done as our businesses have progressed. Yeah. But there's a commerciality around the ideas, Sure. So, and that's where you need to be disciplined, and that's where you need to actually really challenge yourself.
There's nothing drains a bank account quicker than a broad idea trying to be productised and marketed, and have done the market testing.
And there are people out there that will take advantage of that. Let's develop an app that's going to cost you X amount of dollars, etc., etc. Whereas they haven't necessarily gone down the commercial route. So one of the things I picked up really strongly with Kevin was two things. He encouraged every single idea.
Always enthusiasm.
There was not one person that left the pitch session deflated. They were encouraged. They got some tips. They got some advice.
But it wasn't like the chef shows or whatever where they've been torn down and said that their souffle is flat.
Absolutely. No, it wasn't like that. No. It was very encouraging, and if he thought that there was a way to market that app, he would share that. That doesn't necessarily mean that he was going to be part of that process, because seeing how an entrepreneur thinks and knowing the failure rate that Kevin goes through with products, like I think it was 3 out of every 5 was still considered not successful.
Right. So even with his formula as such?
Yeah, 2 hit it big time, 3, okay. So even with that, he's very disciplined around that investment process, and making those decisions around that. So, but the key is it's not the people aren't shot down in flames. They're encouraged. If there's a tip or some advice given, that's awesome. So it was just it was a really worthwhile experience for me. I sat through 17 of those pitches. With Kevin.
That would have been valuable just to learn what's going on in that process.
Amazing.
You'd have seen it in play.
And I've already been able to utilise some of that. So we've had a couple of leads to follow up since Kevin's been here. It's been awesome talking with some of those. One's an idea, one's a very established, successful company already in America, but now looking to try and raise some funding and some investment to really latch onto what they've got. So there's some really exciting things happening in that space, but the learning for me was just invaluable. I love ideas. As I said to you, I said someone comes to me with a great idea and I go, oh wow, let's work on it, sounds awesome. But then to have that discipline process,
the reality check,
to follow it through, and even if someone isn't in that space, are there people better placed who may be already servicing that space, who are potentially already got some R&D happening? It was really exciting.
Oh, fabulous. Okay, well that was well worth the extra chat. And so obviously in terms of product development, export and that sort of thing, bringing product to market, people should get in touch with you related to that as well.
Absolutely. So that's a company called Oz Innovators, and they're at ozinnovators.com.au, and they've got a number of different channels to market. So there's 2 key players, Larry Robertson and Kevin Harrington in the States.
Right.
So that we can develop our Australian products to a level where they can accept it. They'll go and test the product in response to marketing to see initial response, and it saves people a lot of time and heartache, because if you've got a great product and you want to get it into the States, currently you probably go to the States 3 or 4 times, do the trade show scenario, you know,
make some calls, make some appointments, show up,
get rejected, get knocked over, and
anything that fast tracks that process is going to be worthwhile.
Absolutely, it fast tracks the process. It gets it in the hands of people that are going to make a decision on it pretty quickly. And at least then you've spent some money, okay, but you know then that it's either going to be a winner, it's going to take off, or if we did this with it, we might be able to do some other things. So we've got some experts over there that can make it happen.